These are the 5 different types of revocable living trust distribution schedules. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Small. I'm the owner of CMS Law Firm. We do estate planning, we do probate, we do it well. If you need help with these things and you want to talk with us over the phone for free, please go to cmslawfirm.com and set up a time. So there are basically 5 different trust distribution schedules that are available for people. You can pick what you want. You can actually also mix and match these inside of your trust for different people. So if you want like little Susie to have distribution provision number 1 that we're going to talk about, and you want Johnny to have number 4, you can do that inside of your trust. Tremendous amount of flexibility inside of your trust. By the way, for today's purposes, we're talking about a revocable trust. This is the type of trust that most people are going to create that are putting together an estate plan. The characteristics of a revocable trust are the creators of the trust have a lot of control. They have very little asset protection, high control, low asset protection, tons of flexibility with what you can do, tons of flexibility with distribution provisions. While you are alive, you also have a ton of flexibility. You can move things in and out of the trust. You can change the trust. You can really kind of do whatever you want with this trust. But within the trust, when you are gone, when you're dead, you're going to have different ways that you distribute your assets to your people. These are the 5 ways. Number 1 is going to be immediate distribution. Joe gets 100 grand when I die. You die, the trustee cuts a check for 100K to Joe, and he gets his money. That is going to be distribution provision number 1. Number 2 is sort of a variation on number 1, and this is a distribution at the request of the beneficiary. This is how we set our trusts up, particularly when we have significant assets, maybe going to kids. At some point in time, you're going to want the kids to have access to those assets. When you die, your revocable trust becomes irrevocable, and it has high asset protection for your beneficiaries. So instead of doing a direct distribution where the trustee is required to cut the check, the second trust distribution schedule, this keeps those assets in the trust unless they are necessary, unless they are needed by the beneficiary, which means there is some asset protection for your heirs, for your beneficiaries. So in this scenario with the 100K, Joe would ask the trustee, hey, I need 20K of my inheritance. The trustee would cut a check. They ask, it gets delivered. Schedule number 3 is over time. We mix and match these often, especially if we have younger kids. I have a trust, for example, for my kids. My trust says when I die, distributions will be made at the discretion of the trustee over time. When a child turns 25, they can have up to a third just by asking. When they turn 30, they can have 2/3 just by asking. When they turn 35, they can have as much as they want. It's sort of a typical, sort of just run-of-the-mill vanilla trust distribution schedule, but you can do that over time. Schedule number 4 is going to be distribution under specific circumstances or with specific limitations. The perfect example of this type of distribution schedule is going to be a special needs trust. With a special needs trust, you have a beneficiary that is eligible for some sort of program, typically a government program. Usually it's need-based, and you do not want to give your assets to that person because they will count in the assessment of whether or not they qualify for these programs. So you instead keep it in the trust, and you put special language for their distribution so that the distributions do not affect their eligibility for these programs. So you would say, I want Joe to get 100K, but only for things that are not going to affect his eligibility for these programs. What that often means is the trust can buy things for the person, those type of like things, help out with them with what they need. And then the last one, number 5, is going to be distribution only at the discretion of the trustee. Typically, the standard for that is health, support, education, and maintenance. Support and maintenance really kind of just mean keeping a similar lifestyle that the person had before you died. Okay, so like for your kids. That one is going to be at the sole discretion of the trustee. If assets are not needed, then they will just sit in the trust forever, and they will pass down to the next generation when the beneficiary dies. This last one is typically what you would consider like a dynasty trust type of provision, where the assets stay in the trust unless they are needed. That's it. Hopefully that made sense. If it did, that's great. If you have questions, ask them. If you want more, subscribe. And if you need help and you're in Washington State with estate planning and probate, please go to cmslawfirm.com and set up a time to talk with us over the phone for free. As always, I am Christopher Small. I'm the owner of CMS Law Firm. We do estate planning, we do probate, we do it well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Appreciate you. And I'll talk to you again soon. See ya.